Alright, it's time for me to summon a powerful creature using my Mask of Summoning. Well, looks like I'm never using this mask again.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the recap review. Today we're looking over set number 8910, Toa Mahri Kongu. The set contains approximately 74 pieces, was released in summer of 2007, and the time of release was about $10. Yikes. You changed, Kongu. I don't know what exactly happened. Well, that's a lie, I actually do. But boy, you changed. So as we can see here, we have the Toa Mahri of air. Toa and Nika went underwater, and the Mask of Life decided to transform them into the Toa Mahri, basically taking away anything unique or special about them, except for the fact that they can now breathe underwater. So we're about to get right into the pros and the cons, but first, let me preface this by saying, anything you hear, pro or con-wise for me, in this review, does not necessarily mean I agree with it. Unless I explicitly say that I agree with any given pro or con, assume that I actually do not. Or at least that I'm not saying. I'll explicitly tell you if I do or do not agree with a pro or a con. So, with that in mind, let's get on with the review and start off with the comparison. Considering that these are a lineage of Toa, of characters, we have Toa Mahri Kongu from 2007, and we have Toa and Nika Kongu from 2006, and there he is, and that'll do. So as we can see here, we have a lot of differences. Mostly, entirely, all the silver from Toa and Nika Kongu is gone from Toa Mahri Kongu. Instead, it's been replaced by dark gray. In fact, Toa Mahri Kongu has a lot less green in his entirety, as opposed to his Nika counterpart. He's obviously a lot shoulder. He does have pretty big shoulders as opposed to this guy, but he's also a lot shorter. His mask has also changed drastically, as opposed to the weird, kind of mangled half-man, half-beast, half-Toa, half-something or other that Toa and Nika Kongu had going on. We have this beard? I don't know. It's definitely a different looking mask, and it's got the whole tube thing going on, even though that's not really a part of the mask per se, the mask piece. Blaster-wise, we have the two Kodak blasters on Toa Mahri Kongu, as opposed to the one blaster and one weapon of sorts on Toa Nika Kongu, which is probably one of the bigger changes here. But aside from that, those are two characters. They don't look anything alike, to be perfectly honest. But we're not here to review Toa and Nika Kongu, we're here to review Mahri Kongu. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the pros, we have his articulation. So his articulation for a Toa character is pretty standard. 3 in the arms, 3 in the legs, and 1 in the head, which works very well. Other pros would be his new pieces, which he does have a few of. The torso piece right here is definitely a new piece in dark Metru blue, in dark green. We have his new mask, the Kanohi Zath, Mask of Summoning. And we have the Kodak blasters, the Kodak, what's the middle word? Is it Desolation? I can't remember. But it's Kodak something blaster. We also have the new ammo type, which is pretty much just a rocket. Although you wouldn't really be able to guess by how it looks. So, that's definitely interesting. Other pros would be his recolors, and we get the Rakshi feet in dark green, which is a new recolor. And that's actually about it. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. We also get the Vaki leg and the Metru leg in gray, which I do not believe we've gotten before. That's nice to see. Other new parts actually do include this tube, and it's a singular tube, and it goes right through this system piece right there. So that's kind of neat to see. Other pros would probably be the function of the blasters, and a lot of people do like the Kodak blasters because they do work fairly well. They definitely work under a different system of operation in the squid launchers of the same year. What you do, you take these 3 fingers, these 2 fingers, this thumb, you put it right here, and then as fast as you can, push in. And watch as one of them doesn't work. But, there we go. But for the most part, this system does work very well. The Kodak blaster is one of the blasters that works almost flawlessly. And then you have these six things here. Kodak revolving blaster, that was it. Kodak means desolation in Matoran. But yeah, so overall, the Kodak blasters do work very well. And you get 6 per blaster, and normally you get 1 blaster with 6 rounds and 3 extra. However, Kongu is very special in that he has 2 blasters, so 12 rounds, and an additional 4 extra ammunition. So, that's really nice. It's definitely a pro. Unfortunately, that pretty much sums up all the general pros. There's not a whole lot you can go into with this set. He's fairly simple, pretty much because he uses the Anika system, and there's not a whole lot to him. He's not a very complex set. So we're going to move on to the cons. Now, unfortunately, Kongu Mari does, in fact, have quite a few cons. First of all, his color scheme. Unfortunately, it seems like gray became his primary color, and then green became almost like a secondary. They're not very well, I don't want to say balanced, but it's not as nice looking as the general green and then lime color as we grew to get accustomed to. Unfortunately, it looks very out of place, especially with the whole water vibe going, and we haven't really seen this color scheme used on any Toa of Air prior except for, say, Toa Matau. However, that was a general system used for the Toa Metru. There we go. They were gray and then they're primary. Kongu has no real reason to be gray and then green, so it's a little unusual. Other cons would be his overall stature. He's incredibly short as opposed to his Anika counterpart, which was incredibly tall. As far as a Toa of Air motif goes, he doesn't very well fit it, especially due to the fact he doesn't have any melee weapon, which most Toa, or Toa of Air even, have. Another con would be his head. Now, clearly they were going for the whole scuba diver look here. And you got these tubes, and that works. Then you have this. Unfortunately, it does, to a slight degree, restrict head movement. So his head movement, it's going to be hard to get more dynamic poses. Speaking of poses, because he only has 2 Kodak blasters, posing is also incredibly difficult because he has no melee weapon. Now, the instructions tell you to have the Kodak blasters down like that. However, you'll often see in promotional artwork that they're up like this, and I do personally believe that looks better. However, that does bring us to another issue. His color scheme, weapons. Yeah, that works. He does have some blue pins, which can be considered a con, but primarily it's the Kodak blasters. They have the gray, which does work with Toa Mahri Kongu, and the silver, which, that's fine. Most weapons are silver. But then you have the red. The bright, oddly placed red. You've got the red axles, the red Kodak missiles, which obnoxiously stick out the back of his arms, and then finally the huge red pushing devices on the Kodak blasters. And it does not look very good. It looks very clunky and uneven and just very unusual. As far as the Kodak blasters are concerned, however, while they do work well, a con can definitely be said as them not working well. Because they're a more air system, they do have a spring, meaning it's not advised you get these guys in water, which makes it a little unfortunate they were advertised as being underwater, but they occasionally will fail to work, for whatever given reason. Even if you're pushing as hard as fast as you can, the friction will still make it very, very difficult to get a Kodak missile to launch. Another con would be the flatness of his overall torso. It is incredibly flat. It's not gappy per se, but it doesn't look like he has a whole lot of armor protecting him. Granted, overall he doesn't look very agile to begin with, so he can't really dodge. Another con would be his broad shoulders right here. They look more like that of a hockey or football player than that of an agile, tree-leaping Toa of Air. Another con would be this little silver piece back here. I understand they were trying to armor him up, but they could have very easily made that Metro green as opposed to silver. It looks very unusual. He also has awkward balancing due to the giant Kodak blasters he wields with no melee weapon in sight. And then finally, and this is more of a subjective thing toward people that people could have an issue with, would be this thing back here. Not specifically because it's system, but because it's a giant green blob on the back of his head. Now, granted, his eyes are green. However, the fact it is there makes it very difficult for light to shine through his eyes, considering he has a large, dark, solid-colored Lego piece behind it. Oh, that actually does remind me, though. One other new piece would be this eye stalk. It's cut off and allows you to stick an axle in to allow for different things like attachments or what have you. So that's really nice. That is a pro. But back to the cons. Unfortunately, Kongu has quite a few. And I've actually wrapped up on the majority of the ones I can think of at this point in time. So to finish up, to wrap up, Kongu Mari is controversial, to say the least. While he's Kongu, a lot of fan favorites are probably going to be happy Kongu is in the story, he has a new set, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, for people that have followed the character of Kongu and his set lineage, this is going to be quite disappointing to many. He has odd weaponry, a color scheme that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the set to begin with, awkward head movement, a very under-armored torso, a very broad and unfitting torso, and obnoxious red pins sticking out of him in the back of his arms, and the giant air cannons that he's wielding in both hands. Both arms, by the which, are very, very long. His proportions are incredibly wonky. So overall, if you're a completionist, definitely try and pick him up. However, he may not be your first choice, and most certainly would not be most people's favorite. However, you may disagree. What do you guys think? Do you like Kongu Mari? Let me know either in the comments below or on the TTV message boards. And if there's anything I messed up on, or you feel I should have mentioned, please let me know in the two aforementioned places as well. Join me next week when I go over the leader, or is he, of the Toa Mahri, Toa Mahri Jala. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you then.